Welcome back, Truth Seeker. It is late Monday, March 16th, 2026. On the East Coast, it's already March 17th. So where Flava Flav is, his birthday is officially over. But out here on the West Coast, it's still going. I want to revisit what he says on the 1998 Public Enemy song, He Got Game, off the He Got Game soundtrack. If you ever seen that movie, stars Jesuit educated Denzel Washington. And of course, Ray Allen's in that movie as Jesus Shuttlesworth. I want to get to that, but first I got to talk about something seemingly unrelated, but actually totally related. We talked about this morning on Patreon, what they had going with the World Baseball Classic, a matchup right here of Venezuela and Italy. In our community, if you're in this community, I expect that you see it right away. If not, or we're not really paying too much attention to the details, are we? But if you need some help, Venezuela's where the superior general's from, the Black Pope, and he serves the Vatican in Italy. And of course, earlier this year, Maduro was taken out in Venezuela in a perfect ritual coordinated with the superior general, just like tonight's baseball game. So this now sets up the championship match of USA when the time of the first USA Pope in Venezuela. And this story down here gives me a laugh. The minute 17 ticker, that's 77 seconds for the 77-year-old superior general from Venezuela. But look how perfect this is. From the day that Maduro was taken down, remember, this was the anniversary of Noriega being taken down. It was the anniversary of Soleimani being taken out. And I told you the day it happened, I said, uh-oh, looks like Iran's up next. Again, this happened on the 53rd day of the superior general's age, like how we overthrew Iran in 1953 on the Jesuit order's birthday. But look at that. From the Maduro capture to this baseball game that Venezuela advances is 72 days. I mean, come on. Maduro 72, Jesuit order 72. The score was 4-2, like just Jesuit alone. And notice Maduro's 63 years old right now. Major League Baseball 63, just like Major League. Again, if you're new here, these ciphers are simple. They're the alphabetic order with numerology applied and the reverse alphabetic order with numerology applied. Major League Baseball, run it forward 63, run it in reverse, Major League 63. A lot of rituals performed around that number. And in light of this being in tribute to the Superior General, go figure that it's 183 days after the Pope's birthday, Superior General 183. And Maduro, he was the 53rd president of Venezuela, and he was removed on the 53rd day of the Superior General's age in Caracas, which is also where the Superior General was born, which equals 53. And that means the current president of Venezuela, Delcy Rodriguez, that means she's the 54th president of the country. And of course, baseball equals 54, like there's 54 outs in a complete game. And Jesuit order equals 54. So, how perfect that this is the matchup for the World Baseball Classic, the championship match tomorrow. They just couldn't have scripted it any better. And coming back, because it is Flava Flav's birthday, and we had this strange occurrence where our group that was out in New York City for the 9/11 anniversary in 2022, we were out in Times Square on the loudspeaker trying to compete with all the noise. And while we were out there, Flava Flav showed up, and he had an escort, and his escort had a giant diamond chain on that was a Star of David. It was interesting. But if you want to come here and watch this, we have it captured on camera. I'm asking Flava Flav, what's up with the album they had just recently put out? What you gonna do when the grid goes down? And I remember his face expression as I asked him the question. Just, you know, he didn't say anything, but his face, it looked like he didn't know what to do or what to say. And he was just ushered away. So maybe had he spoken, he would have said exactly what he said on the Game soundtrack. And we're going to go back and revisit that because I haven't talked about it for years. I think the last time I talked about it is when the What You Gonna Do When the Grid Goes Down album came out. But yeah, this album, I mean, this album has been used now for so many rituals. And again, we predicted a major power outage right out of the gate. We predicted it for the following Valentine's Day, and power was out in my home city of Portland for over a week. The South in Houston, where they had the crazy weather, out for parts of Houston, I think about as much as a week or more. Atlanta suffered a storm that day too, knocked out power there. So coast to coast, West Coast, bottom of the country in the middle, East Coast, Atlanta. Anyway, one more time, this outage today in Cuba. What you gonna do when the grid goes down? Today's 172 days after the anniversary of the release of the album, and realize there's power out in parts of the US because of the crazy weather. And like we pointed out when this album came out, if you look, JFK gave a speech to the United Nations in history, September 25th, 1961. He addressed many issues in that speech, but one of the things JFK talked about on September 25th, 1961 was the future of weather control. Weather control. And anyway, they're not saying weather is what took down the grid in Cuba, but parts of the US right now, people's power's out because of the severe weather. And we'll come back to what today has to do with weather control, but it's again, it's Flava Flav's birthday, the hype man for Public Enemy who did this album. Today's 172 days after the anniversary. What you gonna do when the grid goes down equals 172, as does Public Enemy, as does the Jesuit motto ad Marum de Gloriam, because you know it's not Public Enemy coordinating these world events. Again, they're part of the world stage, and I'm pretty sure the idea for the album wasn't theirs either. You know, thus why he had to get escorted away by the man in the big diamond chain when he was asked the question. And yeah, I was just saying that album title, when you run it in reverse, it also equals 143, which is interesting because last year the power went out for the nation of Cuba on the 14th day of March, 14-3. And Jomo, who just keeps having great observations. By the way, today's the 125th day of the Superior General's Age, and Public Enemy equals 125. But yeah, here's if you guys want to come here a little before the 8-minute mark, this is from 2022. It was the gathering of the truth seekers around Flava Flav. And we were asking him, what's up with the album? You can see the gentleman back here in the GematriaEffectNews shirt right behind Flava Flav. But yeah, Flava Flav's birthday is the 75th day of the year. And what we're going to read is what he said at the end of the He Got Game song about the coming New World Order and what people needed to do to get ready post 2000. Again, there were a lot of clues out there at the end of the 90s. And it's funny how many of them were put out in the world of hip hop music about the Illuminati and things about to get wild. They put these things where people would least expect it. But yeah, Flava Flav's birthday is the 75th day of the year. Big New World Order number. Public Enemy's a New York group. How about the New York paper way before any of Public Enemy was even born? New World Order pledged to who? Again, go back and look at the diamond necklace on the guy who escorts Flava Flav away from us asking about the album in that video. But the date of this article, 10/6/1940, I brought this up 1,000 times. 10 plus 6 plus 19 plus 40, 75. And here's what Flava Flav says at the end of the He Got Game soundtrack. And I realize if you search Google for the lyrics, Google mistranslates some keywords in here, and I think that's done on purpose. Because it's like if you listen to it, it's like, that's not what he said. Are you kidding me? Anyway, here's what he actually said. These lyrics are correct. And again, Flava Flav doesn't rap. He just speaks to the beat. He says, hey, yo, these are some serious times that we live in through G. And remember, G takes on a whole new meaning when you learn about the secret societies, right? The big G in the Masonic compass, the Jesuit headquarters, the Church of the Jesu. Young Sebastian dug up that 1800 periodical by the Masons, talking about how the Masons really do work on behalf of the Superior General and the Jesuits, thus the headquarters, the Church of the Jesu, and the big G in their logo. But again, this is 1998. Hey, yo, these are some serious times that we live in through G. and a new world order is about to begin. Now, remember, in 1990, 8 years before this, the president of the United States gave a speech about the new world order, the coming new world order. And in 2000, his son would be elected president. And then, right as he took his throne, next thing you knew, the whole world changed largely through what happened in New York, where Public Enemy is. And a new world order is about to begin. You know what I'm saying? Now, the question is, are you ready for the real revolution, which is the evolution of the mind? If you seek, then you shall find that we all prove from the divine. You dig what I'm saying? By the way, for all you religious people, I don't know why you guys fight over your different spiritual beliefs and you think some people are more full of God than others. It's really just a dumb thing. If there is a creator, and I think there's a creator, we all come from creator. Yeah, we come from our parents, but this whole world comes from creator if there is a creator. And to me, there's signs there is a creator. That we all prove from the divine. Not like, oh, my religion's the only divine. Blah, 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 blah. That's all of you doing that. I think you're really part of something evil. And I think you need to think more about that. Anyway, you dig what I'm saying? Now, if you take heed, and by the way, for all of the Christians out there that hate me because I'm honest that I grew up Christian but left it behind because I saw how hypocritical the people were, I'd like you to think about people who've come into this community who claim to be Christian, who do this work as well, and how you see a lot of these people, they get so tired and exhausted and they have to quit and give up and they're whining and crying all the time. Have you guys seen me take a day off in 13 years? Anyway, let me continue. You dig what I'm saying? Now, if you take heed to the words of wisdom that are written on the walls of life, then universally we still stand, and divided we will fall, because love conquers all. You understand what I'm saying? This is a call to all you sleeping souls. Wake up and take control of your own cipher. That is the word that he says, cipher. And just like we're talking about ciphers over here. In the movie The Matrix, which came out around the same time as this, one of the characters is Cypher. Again, how these ciphers of the language hide what's being done by the New World Order in plain sight. And be on the lookout for the spirits tonight trying to steal your lights. You know what I'm saying? Look what beside yourself for peace. Give thanks, live life, and release. You dig me? You got me? Again, think about it, you guys. This New World Order, always hitting us with fear, scare, doom, gloom. After 9/11, they made it seem like you could blow up at any second. If you turned on, especially right-wing talk radio, talking about suitcase bombs, mini nukes, dirty bombs, just nonstop. It was all fear, and none of it was real. I mean, they did demolish the towers that day to put the thing in your mind, and then all the rhetoric that came behind it built on that. But it was just all this nonstop fear. And to get people, my internet, it does that now. It's been going on for over 2 months. I thought I got it fixed the other day, but it's still doing that. So I was just talking about, I'm not exactly sure where it went out, but I got the notification it was out. I was saying that this thing he's saying about for the real revolution, which is the evolution of the mind. Again, they want everyone to be afraid all the time. After 9/11, it was nothing but nonstop fear to control people and get them to submit to this agenda and go along with giving up their rights and liberties and getting people to send off their young ones to sacrifice needlessly in a war that didn't need to be happening and fight an enemy that wasn't really the enemy. Again, had people had more evolved minds and seen through it, it wouldn't have worked. And 19 years later, on the 19-year cycle of the moon, they got Cooties 19 for you, 19 years after the supposed 19 hijackers, where they couldn't find anything but their paper passports. And again, it was major fear mongering. And, if you remember the beginning of Cooties 19, they were putting out stories like this 30-year-old man went to bed last night with sniffles and he woke up next to his girlfriend totally dead. That stuff was having an impact on a lot of people. Like, oh, wow, you can just get this and sniffles and as you go to bed and then death in the middle of your sleep. None of that was even real. I mean, stuff was just complete made up crap to get people to think, oh my God, when they get the vax out, I better go get it ASAP. And again, you fell for you didn't have that evolved mind. You fell for the media fear mongering, which is all it does. Then you probably gave yourself a real health problem. Then you might have just stopped breathing in the middle of the night, as so many people have. So you know that Flava Flav didn't come up with this. He was given to it to deliver it, but this isn't. It's just like we got to meet this man right here. He couldn't even speak for himself. He had to get ushered off the streets by a group of people asking him, "Hey, what's up with your guys? What you gonna do when the grid goes down?" Album. They just had to get him right out of there. So that tells me that he's not the man that wrote these words. Or if I'm wrong about that, he certainly had changed 24 years later when we ran into him in 2022. And I do worry a little bit about him with this ritual today on his birthday and him turning 67. We know what that number means. And we've been talking about since way before this whole 6-7 thing with the young kiddos that don't have a clue what they're saying. Again, that number has everything to do with evil and killing and sacrifice and the satanic. But yeah, it's just, this thing at the end of this, he got game. And again, it kind of makes sense, right? It's, the phrase, uh, rather than getting played by the game, you got to play the game. If you see the game for what it is, I mean, you don't want to get beat by the game. So it's right now too. It's another big scary moment. And like I said, sometimes there are real consequences for people if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time. As these people, this new world order, as it's even called out right here, if you were standing on the World Trade Center the day they demolished it, you could have easily gotten taken. If you were in the building that day, I mean, if you're in the wrong spot at the wrong time, and that's why, don't live in fear, but understand we were told there will be another 9/11 and it will be the grid going down, and maybe it won't be the whole nation because that does seem pretty hard to pull off. By the way, as I said that out loud, I just caught wind of something else that's about to come out on Netflix. I'll show you that in a second. But like I'm saying, don't live in fear about this grid thing. Just have the stuff on hand for when they do it. Because the thing is, almost everything they do, what they project is way scarier than actually what is. So, I mean, if they take out the power in your neck of the woods, I mean, when they took it out on Valentine's Day, if you were in certain places, it was out for over a week. But I really can't imagine them doing it for much longer than that. And by the way, just another thing, the Public Enemy album, What You Gonna Do When the Grid Goes Down, the song Grid features Cypress Hill. They're LA based, so it's interesting to think about. But Be Real is the most famous. We got a DK Stonewood sighting. Be Real is the most famous member of that group, and he is of Cuban ancestry in light of what they did today in Cuba on Flava Flav's birthday. What's up, DK?
What's up, Zach? Just keep talking. I'll go when you're done.
No, go ahead. Say what you want, and then I'll transition to the next piece I want to make. But it's okay. It's a good break spot.
Are you familiar with the Arch of Ball?
I don't think so.
Google real quick, Arch of Ball.
Okay. Okay.
Did you notice all the hints when you just put in Arch of Ball? It says Arch of Ball, New York, Arch of Ball, DC. There's a lot of right in that like predictive search.
Maybe now that you bring this up, I think I remember this at the time. Okay. Yeah, it's crazy. Already 10 years ago.
Okay, so did you see the opening ceremony for the Olympics in Milan?
I didn't.
But now next one, Google opening ceremony Milan Arch.
Okay. Olympics. Opening ceremony, Milan Arch.
You should see some satanic ceremony with like a fire inside the way of the arch.
Okay, yeah, I got it up here.
Okay. I don't know. I can't remember exactly. This is the part I was going to say for you to check out. There's all these different arches. The main one is the Arch de Triomphe in Paris, right next to the Eiffel Tower. There's like a sigil made of the street topography. If you look at it like from above, it's like a huge 13 calendar wheel. It's pretty trippy. But I was going to say, I bet you the gematria of all these names of all these arches they put around the world that are tributes to the Arch of Baal. And the ones that are in D.C., I don't know if you remember Trump he was holding they're going to build one in D.C. now, an enormous one.
Yeah. I talked about when they unveiled that, the Trump
right.
arch.
He was unveiling that right as they were. Did you pull up the photo of that thing going on in Milan?
I did.
Under the arch. Yeah. So he was doing that right as that was going on. I wonder, and these things all have a name. I forget what the one in it's something in Italian, Arch di something, and the one in Milan. I bet you they all have the same gematria. But the ones that they already have in DC and New York, it's funny, they're 2/3 replicas, of course, and 2/3 is what, 0.666, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, now they plan to put this one in DC. I forget when the date is. Now, I forgot check what numbered part of the Bible it is where it says the Antichrist is going to come in under the arch. I bet you the gematria of all these things are lined up. I don't have necessarily a calculator where I could put them and it just saves the values on the side, so you just keep putting stuff in. I mean, it's like Revelations. I forget what it was now, but.
Well, the Antichrist is also referred to as the arch deceiver in the Bible, or arch deceiver.
And that too. And we have all these archangels, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, are they talking about arc like the geometric shape? Where, what exactly are they talking about? Because these arches, like for like computers and like small electronics, consumer electronics, those that shape that these arches look like, that's basically like a transducer. It'd be like an energy harnesser, in a small piece of electronics. So the claim was like 15 years ago that all the Catholic churches were linked together, and they have these spires and they're sending these frequencies that they're collecting. The altar is like usually right under where the energy is being sent out. So they alter the energy and send it out, and that it was all being collected at the Eiffel Tower, which is their main antenna, and then stored in this Arch de Triomphe thing in France, and that they were linked like all around the world, these different arches that they had put up. And then the part in the Bible says that where the Antichrist is going to come in from under the arch does that mean this new one they're about to put up in DC? And these things are enormous. The real ones, I mean, it's like, the size of a large church or something. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's probably at least 100 feet tall, if not more.
The one that Trump's going to put up is 250 feet tall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, 200. I didn't know what number to say, but yeah, they're enormous.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the names of the day that I left out the other day when we were talking about the Khazar last names with the I, like Orsini and Gandolfini, and one of the ones I left out was Khomeini, which you misspelled it. It's I at the end, actually. I know we kind of pronounce it different in English, but it's Khomei at the end. Another guy. He even admitted his grandma was Jewish, though, so he's not like a surprising one. And another one was Mangione, or how we say Mangione, but another one of those ONE. I once had made a list. I'm like, look at all these names. Every single fake shooter, every single, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, they're all here. All these last names. Anyhow, that's all I have. I just wanted to throw that out there and see if you can get anything with the gematria of all these arches. If there's some, maybe I should be looking at the dates they were all built, or I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, I can look more into it. It's interesting.
Since they're talking about the Antichrist coming in through that, I mean, I'm sure it's not some dude with horns, you know, but some kind of allegory.
Yeah.
That's all I had. I'm going to go back and listen. I just caught you real quick in the middle of the stream. I'm like, oh, he's on at night. I'm coming home from work. It's rarely that it's live when I'm able to listen.
Yeah, going late tonight. All right, man. Well, I appreciate the call.
All right, Zach.
All right, take care. See you.
Bye.
By the way, just that Savannah Guthrie, I told you guys when it broke that it was about March Madness. You want to know what's funny? The coach at Arizona, remember Savannah Guthrie went to Arizona in Jesuit Georgetown. We covered all this at the beginning. The coach of Arizona, he used to be the assistant at Jesuit Gonzaga, coaching under Mark Few. But if you look, his next win, which will be his first win in the tournament in the round of, 32 games, the opening round, 64 teams, right? But his next win is 145. Tommy Lloyd's going into the tournament on the magic 144, the Jesuit order number. Again, Savannah's Jesuit educated. We showed how this thing had the Jesuit fingerprints. And remember, it's the 84-year-old mom in Arizona 84. She made her plea. Remember, she made her first plea for them to bring home her mother on 84 days after the Superior General's birthday. We've covered this all the way, but again, Arizona 84, Jesuit 84, the Jesuit Order 84, the Catholic Church 84. So called out right away that it was obviously about March Madness. You know they're going to bring this story back during the tournament. But hold on, let me just show you that the Arizona coach, his next win is 145. So I'm pretty sure we're close. What am I typing in? Yeah, he used to be the assistant at Jesuit Gonzaga. He's 144 and 35 right now. The 35 should stand out to you as well. But yeah, there's his record right now, the Arizona coach. And yeah, I notice everybody and their mom is picking Arizona too to win it. But yeah, the 35 losses is interesting as well, because as we know, Catholic is 35, like Jesuitism, like Holy See. And I forget if there's something with, I feel like there's something about the Guthrie family I'm forgetting with 35. But yeah, news and sports, just day after day, it's just all scripted together. Again, going on and showing this for 13 years now, just like this World Baseball Classic ritual today. What's up, DK?
And I forgot to say McDonald's just released the Archburger too, so that's why I was thinking it's about time to talk about this.
Hey, I covered the Archburger thing, so
yeah, I just forgot to include that. But anyway, that's all.
All right, appreciate it, man. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's just like, you know, when I covered this when this was the top story in the news that day, Trump and his arch. I mean, just same Jesuit fingerprints all over it. Just like Tommy Lloyd's going in there with 144 wins, and he used to coach at the Jesuit University. That's why it's annoying. It's annoying that where this work is in 2026 with the super shadow ban and people falling off because of it, and how the community, I believe, has been co-opted. You see how there's a group of cliquey people that don't really talk about anything that matters and make every decode look super goofy. Oh yeah, what I was gonna say. Dude, what was I about to say before DK called in? I was gonna pull something up, and now I forgot what I was gonna do. Oh, I know what it came back to me. So I saw something that creeped me out. So I got to go back to the very first post I ever did in 2013. You know, this blog used to average 60,000 readers a day when this work was getting a lot of views. And now it's like my YouTube channel over the course of a month struggles to get 200,000 views over the course of a whole month. And I mean, anyway, um, I bring up all this. Oh, you know what? Here, I'll just read the beginning of this. And then if you didn't hear, or if you don't know what this is, this 1 second after book, um, people say, you know what? Just in case things do get crazy, if you want to, people say this 1 second after book is a good thing to read if you did want to be prepared for a major blackout scenario. There's a lot of realistic advice in there. But that's only if things get real crazy when you need that kind of knowledge and information. But Netflix is making a movie and it's going to release pretty soon, 1 second after, about this power grid down scenario. I just caught wind of that. I said, that's funny. That's about to come out. So here's what I wrote. This is back in 2013. I said, on August 27, 2013, Janet Napolitano, Secretary of Homeland Security, resigned. In her outgoing speech, she warned of an upcoming serious cyber attack that could take down our power grid, one that could impact all functions of our daily lives. She said the attack was not a matter of if, only a matter of when. Days later, on September 2nd, 2013, Senator Lindsey Graham warned that if the United States did not attack Syria, it could mean a nuclear bomb detonates in Charleston, South Carolina, or New York. There's actually a movie from the 80s about a nuke going off in Charleston in the harbor. I don't think I knew that at the time when I wrote this post. I think I found that out later. I think it's called Special Bulletin or something like that. Lindsey Graham added that the nuke would not come on the head of a missile, but in the belly of a ship. So he was really literally telling us a movie plot from decades earlier. And Lindsey Graham's been a major fearmonger over the years. Graham's remarks, paired with other occurrences from popular culture echoing similar sentiments, makes one wonder if there could be something sinister at work in the North and South Carolina regions. Isn't it funny that the leader of Syria now is a member of Al-Qaeda who went and sat with Trump at the White House? It's like, and again, it just reminds me that it started out as the CIA thing, did Al-Qaeda. And possibly Lindsey Graham knows something more than we do, and his words, along with Napolitano, should be taken with a degree of concern by we the people. As you read along, I will piece together some of the seemingly unconnected but related clues I have uncovered. If you watch television, you might have seen the show Revolution on NBC, a series that began in September 2012. If you've not seen the show, it has a post-apocalyptic plot and is set in Wilmington, North Carolina, where the world mysteriously lost power 15 years earlier. It's interesting how Wilmington was real important with this year's Super Bowl. Remember, that's where they sacrificed Sonny Jorgensen, who won the championship in 1960. They killed him right before Super Bowl 60. And the college team in Wilmington's the Seahawks. And again, the Seahawks won this year, and the halftime show paid tribute to the Blackout. The song that was performed in Spanish was The Blackout. Wilmington, North Carolina, where the world mysteriously lost power 15 years earlier, and it has been a struggle to survive ever since. What is key about this show is the blackout scenario and its setting of Wilmington, which is not far from Charleston, South Carolina, where Lindsey Graham said a nuke could detonate. The possibility of this blackout scenario is becoming alluded to more and more in popular culture. If you look through recent news headlines, you've seen an upsurge in frequency of stories pertaining to the possibility of the power grid going down due to solar flares, meteors, and ballistic weapons launched from terrorists or foreign enemies of our federal government. For whatever reason, our media wants us to know more about this threat of a national blackout, especially as of the last 3 years. This blackout scenario, as alluded to in Revolution and other places, has been warned about by politicians from Newt Gingrich to the recently resigned Secretary of Homeland Security, Janet Napolitano. Members of our federal government, along with support from the Heritage Foundation, even released a documentary in 2009 detailing how an electromagnetic pulse, an EMP, strike could instantly set our nation back a century and leave us in a state of mass chaos and panic. They titled the documentary 33 Minutes, and in the narration, it said the name was chosen for the film because it would take 33 minutes for a nuclear warhead to reach the United States from either Iran or North Korea. In the same documentary, Ground Zero of the New York Ground Zero of New York City is visited, and while it shows the destruction of what was once the World Trade Center buildings, the narrator explains how if a nuke were to detonate in the sky above what was once the site of the former World Trade Center buildings, it would kill 1 million or more people instantly and cause widespread destruction to the power grid and nation's infrastructure. It is a frightening thought indeed, and one the documentary wants you to imagine. In 2009, a fictional novel titled 1 Second After, with a foreword by Newt Gingrich, was released, also relating to a power grid down scenario. In this novel, an EMP attack destroys the nation's power grid, and from there, a frightening apocalyptic world ensues. This novel is essentially the fictional retelling of what is told in the documentary 33 Minutes. The story of 1 Second After is set in Black Mountain, North Carolina, a town that is also not far from Charleston, South Carolina, and even closer to Wilmington, North Carolina. So together, we have 2 stories set in North Carolina dealing with the power grid going down. We also have a senator from South Carolina claiming a nuclear bomb could go off in his home state in a city not far from Wilmington or Black Mountain. Perhaps Lindsey Graham has seen the 1983 movie Special Bulletin. Oh, I guess I did have it in here. In which a nuclear bomb does detonate on a ship in Charleston Harbor, reducing the region to dust and fire. The only other story I'm aware of pertaining to this topic is written by former Senator Byron Dorgan, where the story also deals with a national power grid down scenario, but the setting is in North Dakota, Byron Dorgan's home state. Then again, each story is told within a world where the entire nation's power grid is down, so setting might not be of total importance. Perhaps you're reading this and saying, so what? Well, I'll tell you what. Investigate the fictional book, The Final Jihad, written in 1991 by the brother of the governor of Oklahoma and first published in 1994, then out of publishing before being back and publishing in 1996. The story follows a Tom McVeigh, who is from Oklahoma, that bombs a federal building, downs a TWA flight, and then attacks the World Trade Center buildings. If you search for it on Amazon.com, reading the customer comments should give you a kick and maybe even a feeling of sick. The point is, clues were dropped in fiction, from books to TV programming to movies about the upcoming terrorist attacks on 9/11. The history is there for you to uncover should you choose to do so. And for the moment, I'll give you a little taste. So anyway, you can read the rest of this post. Or I'll cover this part actually. Right here, I just talk about this, or I guess I'll just read it. The Lone Gunman, a pilot episode which aired on Fox in March of 2001, showcased an airplane being hijacked and nearly flown into the World Trade Center buildings just before the hero of the episode saves the day and avoids the tragedy. Outside of that, other subtle clues were intertwined in mainstream programming through the 90s and even before. A 1994 article in Vice magazine shows Beavis and Butthead with turbans and darker skin, each flying separate planes into the World Trade Center building. The illustration accompanies an article introducing a little-known terrorist organization by the name of, you guessed it, Al-Qaeda. Better yet, if you saw the 1999 Hollywood blockbuster The Matrix, you may have noticed Neo's passport expired on September 11, 2001. Curious coincidences, don't you think? Fight Club, the other blockbuster from that same era of movies, ended with a city skyline of buildings collapsing in free fall. Beyond these occurrences, there's many more, including a 1994 cartoon episode of Iron Man, where in the same episode, a fighter jet is given the mission of destroying the World Trade Center towers and Pentagon. From Terminator to The Simpsons to Mario Brothers, clues about the upcoming events of 9/11 were abound, and if you want to see them for yourself, they're a short web search away. Okay, back on point. Charleston, South Carolina, Wilmington, North Carolina, and Black Mountain, North Carolina, the 3 sites of fictional predicted events and relating to power grids going down, when mapped out, make an almost perfectly symmetrical triangle. See the picture at the top of the article. So I think I designed this in Microsoft Paint once upon a time, but there's your 3 cities. And you can see that star is at Cowpens National Battlefield, and I'll get to why that seems to matter. When mapped out, make almost perfectly symmetrical triangle. At the head of that triangle is Black Mountain, South Carolina, and just south of that is Cowpens National Battlefield. If you can envision the triangle on the map as the all-seeing eye on the dollar bill, you can imagine how Cowpens National Battlefield would be the placement of the all-seeing eye in the arrangement. If you're not familiar with Cowpens National Battlefield and its significance to the Revolutionary War, please see these excerpts from history's text. What these quotes are all about is how this was the battle that turned the tide of the war. And from this point on, America was en route to beating the Redcoats, the British. Cowpen's battlefield is the place we remember for what turned the American Revolution in our favor. It is a place of major historical ramifications. It is symbolic. It is the site of a battle you could say helped secure our sovereignty as a nation from Britain and foreign rule, something that is very much in threat today. I'm actually surprised that I wrote it like that because even for longer than I've known Gematria, I've suspected that we probably never really got free of Britain, but I think I was just writing that because that's the cultural tale. And things could be worse than they are now. And actually, since I wrote this article, things have gotten a lot worse for us. Things are a lot more expensive. The surveillance state's a lot further along. They just haven't turned the power out on us yet. Since the attacks on 9/11, our nation's constitution has been subverted and our military has been used in illegal wars of aggression. All that has happened has been against the will of the people. Not all, I suppose not the will of everyone, but some idiots go along with it. I think most people, though, haven't been down for the cause. It seems that post 9/11 America has not been a time of sovereignty, but instead a time of widespread treason, infiltration, and deceit. Perhaps our rulers, those who have infiltrated us and now govern from the shadows, would like to destroy the region, possibly even the site of where our sovereignty was once earned, Cowpen's battlefield. The destruction of such a site could signal the final fall from what we once were, a proud nation free of rule by tyranny. At this current moment in history, we are a nation staring down the barrel of World War III and a nation of laws that resemble that of a police state, where citizens can be arrested and detained without warrant and for as long as need be if suspected of being a terrorist or involved with terrorism. This is not the country any of us were raised to believe we lived in. Instead, it is an Orwellian nightmare, one disaster away from something darker than even George Orwell could imagine. That disaster that tips us the wrong way for eternity may come in the Carolinas, and it may come soon. If you listen to the rhetoric or you look at some of the more obscure clues in popular media, the writing is on the wall. In fact, it has been on the wall for a very long time. We are a nation that has been through the Cold War and one that has lived with the thought of nukes going off in our cities for decades. When you look at our history, you see how the events of 9/11 came to be. As Eisenhower once said in 1961 as he was exiting the presidency, the military-industrial complex must be stopped. Military-industrial complex must be stopped, or it will grow beyond our worst nightmares. Today, we can safely say it has grown beyond our worst nightmares, and it is unfortunate his warning was largely ignored, but history is still being written, and we can learn from our mistakes, such as not recognizing the importance of numerology and symbolism and how it is used by our secret society masters. With regards to 9/11, please recall the number 33 from the documentary mentioned earlier, 33 minutes. 33 is a number that has much significance, especially pertaining to 9/11. Perhaps you were not aware, but 911 was made the national emergency dialing code in 1968. Also in 1968, construction began on the World Trade Center complex. Think about how many times I taught about this. 33 years later, the two seemingly separate entities would become intertwined in one infamous, life-changing, tragic event. If you believe this is just a coincidence, find 9/11 Commissioner Bob Kerry's remarks in which he admitted the 9/11 attacks were a 30-year conspiracy. Yeah, if you guys don't know that, that clip's out there, Bob Kerry. To a journalist asking about the collapse of World Trade Center 7. Anyhow, 33 is a number that corresponds with Freemasonry and is recognized in that secret society as the highest echelon of membership. It is a number that is reflected in the Bible, on our currency, throughout society, and often in tragedy if you pay extra attention to the headlines. From our recent history, the Virginia Tech shootings yielded 33 dead victims, and more recently than that, a 33-year-old Michael Hastings had his car explode in Los Angeles, not far from the 33rd parallel, in a Los Angeles suburb for reasons that are impossible to explain. There have been many more occurrences before, between, and since. If you pay attention, this number will grab your attention more often than you suspect, and when you see it, you should have a sense of suspicion, because now you know what it pertains to or might possibly pertain to. This year, 2013, marks the 33rd year since the planting of a very suspicious monument in the hills of Georgia, where there are something called the Georgian Guidestones. They were placed there on March 22nd, 1980. Aside from them being placed there 33 years ago on 3/22, 322 is a peculiar occurrence and is another number worth paying attention to. 322 happens to be the address of Yale's Skull and Bones fraternity and the date of the Stamp Act was passed on, which gave way to the American Revolution. In movies, the number 322 is often hidden in scenes of terror. For example, in The Dark Knight Rises, when the football stadium is exploding, the camera pans to a man in a suite who is behind the attacks. Just beneath the glass of the suite, you see the section number 322 written on the concrete wall. In another recent film, Transformers, the Hoover Dam is attacked, and after the dam begins to leak, a shot is shown of Days with No Injuries board, which reads 322. Can you imagine a terrorist attack on the Hoover Dam? Talk about a power grid down scenario. In such a scenario, chaos would surely ensue. The Georgia Guidestones placed in Georgia on 322-1980 have 10 rules etched into them, and the first is somewhat alarming, and one that could only come out of a major disaster and chaos of unrivaled proportions. That is, maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. These rules are written on 4 large stones standing over 19 feet tall each. They are written in 12 languages, but the man who placed them there, R.C. Christensen, is an unknown. It is believed that it was only a pen name and not a real person. Whoever it was had resources, though, as this monument was no small task. Not only is it massive, it is placed and designed to commemorate specific astrological events. Well, now it's no longer. What it leaves one wondering is, do those who place them there have the power ability to maintain the world's population under 500 million? If that were so, it would mean 13 out of every 14 people on Earth would have to die. You know, the population they say now is 8 billion, so it'd have to be 15 out of 16. If you're from the Carolinas or know anyone in the region, you should alert them to these findings. At most, they could be life-saving. At least they could be eye-opening and informative. Also, in the case of a national power grid down scenario, you want to make sure you're prepared. That means you need water, canned, dried food, generators, propane gas, blankets, and a propane stove. Yeah, by the way, guys, propane, cheap. Propane stove, cheap. Could be real essential if you don't have water and you need to boil water. So yeah, some propane stove, enough to get through a week. Just make sure you don't do it in your house with the windows closed, because then you're going to have toxic fumes. Have some windows open. Also, you probably want to know the federal government has a planned drill for November 13th and 14th, 2013, where they will be preparing for a national power grid down scenario. If you know the history of false flag attacks, you know government drills are often planned for the same date they happen on. See 9/11, 7/7, and Boston Marathon bombings. All those events were evidence of that. And it says, please do what you will with this information. I'm not a psychic. I'm just an ordinary man in pursuit of truth and trying to make sense of what information I have. I care very much about people, and I want us to awaken and overcome these demons who currently hide in the shadows where they rule from. Thank you for reading, and peace be with you. I look forward to your comments and any information you may have to share. You know, reading that, I'm not as pleasant as I used to be, and that's because I just become more annoyed with humanity as time passes on. But yeah, people still don't learn about the numbers or seemingly anything for the most part. But yeah, it is really weird that this 1 second after, I don't think they have a release date yet, but Netflix is making it into a film. I caught wind of this. 1 second after is an upcoming Netflix post-apocalyptic thriller film based on William R. Forstchen's novel, starring Josh Holloway, Famke Janssen, and Hannah John Kamen. Centers on a former military officer, Holloway, struggling to protect his community in a small North Carolina town after an EMP attack destroys all technology. So they finished filming in December of 2025, so we'll see when it comes out. But I do find it interesting that this is something on the horizon after this year's Super Bowl hosted by the 49ers, who had the Blackout Bowl and also the Monday Night Blackout game versus the Steelers. I find it interesting that they performed the song The Blackout, and then this is being made. considered the best book on the subject of what might happen. If you guys haven't looked into this book, it was a big deal at the time. That's why even a politician has the foreword for it. But I remember at the time just listening to Bill talk about the book and saying, yeah, if it ever did happen, this book has a lot of good advice on the skills you'd want to have and the things you'd want to do. So maybe if you're looking for a good book to read, just in case it does get crazy, as they say, hope for the best, plan for the worst. 1 second after, and I did read it years ago, but honestly, I can't even remember. I forget things. I probably read that book 14, 15 years ago now. All right. What's up, 208P? Thanks, man. Looks like you came 2 times. He said, instrumental I made sampling you on my channel titled 208 featuring Zachary K. Hubbard. It won't let me post the link, but in light of the hip hop theme, you should play this to the outro stream. I don't have the audio set up right now to play it but I will play it. Let me find it here. We'll play it. We'll play it on tomorrow's stream. I don't like how they got rid of in the filter sort by latest, because that made it easy to pick up what you were actually looking for. They took that away, and I think they did that on purpose because they knew that was the glitch in their shadow banning content algorithm they have going on. I'm having trouble finding that video right now. It won't let you post the link. And hold on, let me see if you're still in the chat. Because the one solution would be, yeah, wait, are you still here? Here. Oh, snap. That's right. It does not let me. I'm streaming through the StreamYard thing, and in the StreamYard application, you cannot give out wrenches. I don't know why they make it that way. They limit the things you can do normally as the host of the show. Hold on, though. I can get in the... Here he is. All right, 208P, I got you a wrench. So that should allow you to link it in the stream. Neo's birthday is March 11th too, huh? Yeah, that was also the tribute in light for 9/11 after the towers came down. 88 lights to make 2 giant purple beams. Of course, purple equals 88. Maybe Rick found it, but the problem is I can't click on Rick's link. Yeah, when people post links in the chat, let me see if I can click on it if I do it this way. All right. We'll play it tomorrow because yeah, I don't have the right audio set up. I have to do it through the this thing over here. But yeah, 208 Productions with a Z. All is one word. 208 Productions. So appreciate it though. Appreciate it. All right. Yeah, it's late. I still gotta do a few more errands tonight, and then I gotta wrap it up. Appreciate all the generosity there. 208p. And here, before we get out of here, let me see if there's anything else buzzing in the news. Cancer survivor Rex Culpepper killed in Georgia dirt bike crash weeks after proposing. Reminds me of Dante Culpepper. Mom claims her Cybertruck nearly drove her and her baby off bridge. Can you imagine a future where the only vehicles that are allowed are these automated vehicles? I mean, there could all things can be. It could get rid of traffic jams. That'd be nice, but I just I imagine if you're a political dissident, you might not be totally safe. You might be in the vehicle that all of a sudden goes for the edge of the bridge. Have your life jacket nearby. Iraq, Afghanistan. It seems like the whole Middle East is on fire. And that's the other thing too. Is we just live in such a crazy age. It's hard to know what is real. Iran negotiating with FIFA to move World Cup games from US to Mexico. Huh. All right, that'd be interesting. That would be interesting. I believe the last time the World Cup was canceled was for World War II. All right. All right. Thanks again to everyone who hits the like and the share. Did I know about the 75 World Trade Center fire? I don't think I did, actually. You're good at digging up stuff there, King Richard. The 1975. By the way, did I mention this part about Be Real? Did I mention that Be Real, who's on the Grid sound? Be Real's the rapper from Cypress Hill who's on the Public Enemy Grid song. He's of Cuban ancestry. That today's ritual, the powerhouse 78 days before his 75th birthday, order out of chaos, 78 and 75, New World Order, 75, George W. Bush's speech about the New World Order, 11 years to the day of the World Trade Center coming down. The 1975 World Trade Center fire was an arson case that occurred at the One World Trade Center in obviously back then it was the Twin Towers on February 212. Come on, man. That's the Manhattan area code 212. That's why it's just annoying that they've gotten away with this little. I mean, everybody in the area, aren't they like, when Cleveland beat Pittsburgh this year, weren't all the Pittsburgh fans like, wait a minute, they just became 4-12 versus us? We're the 4-1-2. What? People were watching Game 6 of the NBA Finals the year Cleveland won on the real King James' birthday. The Cleveland fans didn't notice that there were 216 points in the game and the 216 in the middle. Come on, man. This year at the Super Bowl, the kicker set the record with 206 points in the season for Seattle, the 206. When their last Super Bowl they won, Russell Wilson had 206 passing yards. It happened at the very end of the day near midnight. The perpetrator, Oswald, JFK. It was 12 years out. It was 12 years after the assassination, almost on the 12th. Let me see how this might have lined up with the Bushes. All right, Papa Bush. His birthday is June 12th. Remember, that's the day leaving 202 days left in the year. Skull and Bones 202. And Skull and Bones also 41, like he was number 41. So 120 days after Papa Bush's birthday, Illuminati equals 120. Okay. And Papa Bush died at 94 in 2018, so he must have been born in 1924. Let me make sure that's right. I'm pretty sure that's right. I know he died at 94. Yeah, so he was 51 years old, like Conspiracy's 51. It's fitting that we're learning about this 51 years after the fact. Okay. And W was born in 46. So 6. Huh. It was 144 days after W's birthday. Remember, he won the 54th election. Come on, man. George W. Bush. Or no, I don't know why I'm writing out George W. Bush. I meant to write out Jesuit order. Again, he won the 54th election. Then they got Osama at age 54 on the 54th day of his age. It's been these people the whole time. The initial fire was started on the 11th floor. Oh, look at this. The initial fire was started and spread from the 11th floor to between the 9th and 14th floors. Okay. The arsonist was later caught 3 months later on May 20th, Cannonball Day. Only important to the Jesuits. And remember, I mean, the Illuminati was founded by the Jesuits. So Jesuit Order 144, Illuminati 120. What's the square root of 144? 12? 12th of the month. Yeah, I don't think I knew about this. I don't remember talking about this ever before. If we did talk about it, I forgot about it. There are a lot of things that I've forgotten about. On May 19th, 1975, the undercover fire marshals began to suspect 19-year-old Oswaldo Ordonez. Come on, man, a 19-year-old? You know what else is crazy? Isn't February 12th to May 20th? Hold up. February 12th, 1975. It's 97 days. The 25th prime, like fire is 25. Okay. And Brotherhood of Death, the alias for Skull and Bones. They got him 97 days later. Remember, Skull and Bones is modeled after two things, the Illuminati and the Templars. And again, Illuminati founded by the Jesuits are the modern day Templars. Same shit this whole time, man. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Public Enemy hadn't even put out an album yet. Hold up. Let's see if there might be anything with this big old number here. That's interesting. The span of 319 months. Again, there's a major Masonic theme with the towers coming down 33 years after construction. That 319 is a number. Prince had that song 319. He died 319 days after his birthday. But in this satanic gematria cipher, all these things are 319. Masonic, killing, and Lucifer. 319 months. That's the span. All right. Good one, King Richard. Good one. Look out for the news on Wednesday, March 18th, 77th day of the year. What's 212 days? Are you saying from just like the anniversary date to 9/11? Is that too? Let me see if I can figure out what you're trying to say. Yeah, the span. Yeah, The span. That's the Manhattan area code, the 212. These people, man. If you don't count the span, it's 211 days. That number is not arbitrary either. That's the 47th prime, building 7, the one that just that didn't get hit by a plane that collapsed in free fall. 47 floors tall, 47,000 square feet per floor. Solomon Brothers building, like Solomon's Temple, like the Masons studied the 47th prime of Euclid. Yeah. Isn't it crazy just doing these rituals, just counting down to the day? I wasn't even anywhere near born yet. My sister was just a little kid. My sister wasn't even 4. But God, man, it's maddening that people don't think it's the Jesuits with all the proof and evidence in the world. I mean, come on, man. They got him on Cannonball Day, please. What's this goofball's name equal? This Patsy, they clearly... And the Patsy's name was supposed to remind people of JFK. Oh, look at that, 51. What was I just saying about 51? That it was synced with Bush's 51st birthday? I'm not... God, I need to get some things done. It's getting late here. So who was the Superior General in 1975? Pedro Arrupe. Pedro Arrupe. Let me see. I saw it had that 183. Did you see his name had the 183? 183. Pearl Harbor. 183. Order out of chaos. 183. Superior General. 183. Let's go back and see. Let's see how this might have lined up with the Superior General at the time. He died at 83, huh? So he turned 68 that year. 75. He turned 68. November 14th, 1974. So look at this. Okay, guys. 91 days after his birthday. That's kind of interesting because the Society of Jesus is 91, but it was the 92nd day of his age. I mean, are you kidding me? In Manhattan, in the 212? Manhattan, 92. Here, let me see. Everyone, he was Jewish. Pedro Arrupe was a crypto. Like, I don't know about that. You guys can't prove your point, so you just say everybody's Jewish. We can prove our points all day. I mean, I just got the hunch right there. It was going to be synced with the damn Superior General once I saw that 183. His name is like the date in reverse. The 94 was a big one with the World Trade Center too. It opened on the 94th day of the year. It had only just recently opened. It opened on April 4th, 1973. Take a look at that. It's all kinds of interesting. Is that? No. Well, from the day it opened until that fire was a span of 680 days. That does look a lot like 68, but when construction began. 679 days later, the 555th composite. It's a big number there in DC with the monument and the Pentagon. Okay. Anyway, I hope nobody else has any good finds in the chat because I need to get off and do something else. You guys said it was 11:14. Isn't that what I wrote down? Didn't I write down 11:14? Oh, maybe I must have had, my bad. I was one off on that. I had something else in there. I must have had 11:13. Well, that's not quite as good, but 91st day of his age, that is the Society of Jesus. It was just before midnight, so I guarantee you they were putting that fire out on February 13th, though, if it started on February 12th at 11:45 PM. So, it would have burned into the next day, which is the 92nd day of his age. Okay. He died on the day leaving 119 days left in the year, did he? September 3rd. That's the same day Bin Laden's dad died in a plane crash, supposedly in 1967. But yeah, Vatican 119. Looks a lot like 11th of September. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to have to do a post on that later. That's crazy. I bet there's a lot more to it as well. So, 51st New York governor. Yeah, that would make sense. You know what happened the day George W. Bush was born, right? Hold on, I haven't talked about that one for a minute. That was the day the World Trade Center was proposed. World Trade Center project proposed July 6, 1946. It was supposed to be 70 stories originally. They went for 110. Look right here. Dewey picks board for Trade Center. So yeah, George W. Bush was born July 6, 1946, the same day that they started putting this plan together to build the World Trade Center. I mean, these are all things that we presented over the years. It's just I just can't imagine having the brain to think that's a coincidence. And don't forget, I mean, from Bush's birthday to 9/11 was the 68th day of his age. If you count the span, it was like he graduated from Skull and Bones in 68 and all the things went down in 68. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I mean, it's just a joke what we're living in. We go to 13 years of slave school and pledge 13 stripes. And I remember my sixth grade teacher, she used to like me so much. She would cry and say, Zach, I just know you're going to be the president of the United States someday. She did, definitely not going to happen. Definitely not going to happen. Our poor teachers, they don't know any better either. They're believing in all the lies. Oh, man. What a travesty. Yeah, I wish you guys could have been here for this moment. For everybody who was there, good for you. But it was something to see him just get ushered away. You can watch the video. This is from Fake Mike's perspective. So Fake Mike, Fake Mike was always off doing his own thing, but he came back just in time for this. You can hear my voice in the background. It's just before the 8-minute mark, asking him, "What's up with the what you gonna do when the grid goes down?" Starting to think half the people that were there for that thing were FBI informants. Anyway, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? All right, True Seeker. We'll leave it there for tonight. Thanks again to everyone who hits the like and the share. And until next time.